against Jeremiah Haywood, playing Burn. Both these players 1-0 off to start their weekend here in Louisville.
This is by the way, this is a matchup where, interesting enough, I think it has gotten worse for Jund because Bloodbraid Elf is back. I think Bloodbraid is worse here than an average selection of 4 cards you were playing before.
Interesting, as we're going to start things off with a Grim Lavamancer for Jeremiah Haywood. 2 of those in the main deck.
Yeah, I think I've liked 2 Lavamancers for a while, and now with humans being the deck with top billing, I think it's a no-brainer.
Jeremiah going to play a Bloodstained Mire and sacrifice that. You see Klomparens starting off with a Treetop Village. Not a lot of decks do that in Modern, so I think if Jeremiah is pretty familiar with the format and certainly familiar with Jadine, he knows what she's up to. We'll see what comes after the fetch here. Be a pretty good time for maybe Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Oh, yeah. That's the draw.
Lavamancer going to come across here for 1. Jadine going to fall down to 19. And the big follow-up is the Eidolon. That's the start.
Yep.
Jadine will draw. Looks like a copy of Blackcleave Cliffs. And there's Blackcleave Cliffs. Just simply pass the turn back. Interesting. As we head back over to Jeremiah Haywood. Bloodstained Mire number 2 will be how he starts his 3rd turn. And now Riftbolt will go on to spend. Not going to trade that Eidolon just yet. Here comes Eidolon in Lavamancer. And now this will be an Abrupt Decay targeting the Eidolon. There will be an Eidolon trigger that Jeremiah does remember, so Jadine will take 2 for casting the Abrupt Decay. But Eidolon will bite the dust. Grim Lavamancer will hit for 1. Klomparens going to fall down to 16. And now we pass the turn back over to Jadine for her 3rd turn of the game. Jadine, right now, I can say, with no bias, putting together some of the best Magic articles on the web.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Her work is great. No question.
Great stuff on Walking Ballista. Earlier this week on Star City Games, as he searches up a base. Yeah.
Unstable basic land.
I was hoping maybe you didn't notice. Great article on Walking Ballista. Has done a lot of great work writing about Green-Black Constrictor or Sultai Constrictor with Adonis Climb. And, of course, once Bloodbraid Elf got unbanned, she was all over Jund again, one of her favorite decks of all time. Kolaghan's Command will be played now. It's going to deal 2 to Grim Lavamancer and cause Jeremiah to discard another Lavamancer. Drawing Lavamancers multiples in this matchup, not great.
Well, now Haywood wants to kind of pivot to finishing out the game with spells. This is where Jund's a little bit soft. You can often stabilize the early rush of creatures, but typically it takes you a little while to kill, and you don't stop the top of the deck all that well. That's why it's important to have something like Collective Brutality, maybe a Scavenging Ooze, something that actually pulls your light total up, or something like Tarmogoyf that can close out the game really quickly. But if you're trying to get it done with Raging Ravine or Bloodbraid Elf attacks, that takes an awful long time.
This will be an Inquisition of Kozilek here from Jadine. Jeremiah is going to sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire. I think we might see a Sacred Foundry plus a Boros Charm here, folks. And there is that Sacred Foundry. And now, there's that Boros Charm. So Klomparens will fall down to 8. Searing Blaze will be taken, which means that it's a good time to play a creature, but she does not have one. Just an Overgrown Tomb tapped. Gotta be feeling pretty good about this if you're Burn. No Tarmogoyf, no Ooze, no nothing yet.
Yeah, but 8's a long way to go.
Okay.
You would feel a lot better about 7, especially 6.
Here's Bloodbraid. Dark Confidant through.
Right.
Yeah, not sure. Not sure if we're casting that one. That's going to be a no.
No. Yeah. So much in the burn deck deals damage in multiples of 3s, and then Boros Charm deals 4. So the particulars on the life total matter a lot. 8 versus 7 is a big difference because 8 means 2 Boros Charms or 3 spells.
Bang. Two Boros Charms.
2 Boros Charms.
Uh-huh.
And 4 versus 3 is a big deal.
I think that's another. Yep, that's 2 Boros Charms. That's 3 Boros Charms in a row.
Whatever.
Jeremiah Haywood, and you said the life total was sketchy. A couple of Boros Charms will take care of things. He's going to win game number 1 over Jadine Klomparens. Boros Charm burn. Up a game over Jund.
Yeah, I mean, 8's a long way to go.
Yeah, 2 draw steps.
If those are your draw steps, then maybe not so much.
We'll talk more Burn versus Jund and how 8 is a long way to go here in just a moment. We are back, everybody. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan getting you ready here for game number 2 between Jadine Klomparens playing Jund and Jeremiah Haywood playing Boros Charms aplenty. We'll start with Jadine, 3 Fulminated Mages, 3 Collective Brutality, 2 Now Spellbound, 2 Graph Trigger Skate, 2 Gimlavamancer, and Engineered Explosives, a Damnation, and Liliana the Last Hope, and a Thoughtseize.
So the 3 Collective Brutalities here are actively good. Just great for the matchup, more duresses, more life gain, more interaction with treat creatures. Couldn't be better. There's a couple cards here that are kind of on the fringe, like the Lavamancer and the Engineered Explosives, which aren't great, but might be better than some of the cards she has in her main deck.
Other side of things here for Jeremiah, 4 Destructive Revelry, 2 Searing Blood, 2 Core Firewalker, 2 Path to Exile, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Deflecting Palm, and a Skull Crack.
I would bring in the Skull Crack and nothing else.
Keep it simple.
You can't, I think trying to beat them with paths and Deflecting Palms and trying to interact with the board, I've tried that strategy before, and I think it's just not good. It's so bad against their discard spells. The Skull Crack, though, you can bet they're bringing in life game, and I would prefer to have 1 less creature and 1 more burn spell in my deck anyway against Jund, especially on the draw.
Well, these players take a look at their opening hands, be given the green light here in just a moment. Looks like Jeremiah is going to reluctantly keep his hand. It'll be a Verdant Catacombs and a passing of the turn. Here's an Inspiring Vantage. Is it time for the old Goblin Guide? Monastery Swift Spear, in for 1. Which one drop do you prefer?
In what sense?
Let's say in this matchup, Goblin Guide or Swift Spear? Is one better than the other?
I think, so, if they have nothing, then the Guide's better. I think the Swift Spear is typically the play you want. Your stuff just dies a lot, and Jund can really use mana. So hitting a land off of Goblin Guide is not a small cost. If they draw a land and kill your thing, it's really bad for you. Also, sometimes you get into spots where you're not really casting your spells, you're setting something up, because it's not like they're playing with counter spells, so there's no pressure to get anything out of your hand in a particular rush. And sometimes you can use Swift Spear to power through a blocker inside of combat, get over the top of, or trade off with the Tarmogoyf and deal some damage to the Jund player. And Goblin Guy doesn't really facilitate those kind of plays.
Black Cleave Cliffs there from Klomparens before passing the turn back over to Haywood. He'll play a Mountain, attack with a Swift Spear. Now here's a Lightning Helix. So this could be 5 total damage if Jadine doesn't have a removal spell.
But for the most part, your stuff just dies, so the details don't matter all that much.
Fair enough. Jadine will play another Black Cleave Cliffs. This will be a Kolaghan's Command. Deal 2 and make you discard.
A 2-for-1 here for Klomparens, but Haywood can't be upset with how this game opened up for him here.
So Spirit did some nice work.
Yeah.
Sacred Foundry will be the discard. Head back over to Jeremiah. It's a Wooded Foothills and a passing the turn back over to Jadine. Jadine will draw. Decisions for our Jund aficionado. This will be a Twilight Mire. I haven't seen that for a little while. Now here's Old Blood Braidel. Cascade time. Good Cascade.
It's a good hit.
Inquisition of Kozilek. Painless discard. That could take a Searing Blaze. Here's a Skill Crack. I kid. It's a Skull Crack. I kid. That'll deal 3. Jadine will fall down to 10. Path to Exile will be discarded. You see 2 lands in a Mountain and a Stomping Ground. Now this is where you say that 10's a lot.
10's a lot to catch up. Yeah. And this is my issue with Path in the matchup here. It goes one of 2 ways in my experience. One is it's in your hand when they hit you with a discard spell and they take it. And the other is it's in your hand when they the discard spell, they take a burn spell and then pivot over to Liliana the Veil and grind your hand down.
Gotcha.
It's rare that it's just, kill your Tarmogoyf, and now I have a million draw steps to kill you. That's kind of the fantasy with Path to Exile. That happens every now and again, but more often than not, I think it's just lining up the wrong way against their discard spells.
Speaking of Tarmogoyfs, 2 have arrived. Jeremiah draw another land, and he will concede the game as those 4 or 5 Lurgoyfs were going to kill Jeremiah pretty quickly. So we are all tied up here between Jadine Klomparens and Jeremiah Haywood. Jund and Burn getting ready for a 3rd game here. It'll be interesting to see if he leaves the paths in or not, because I do agree with you that they're just, it's not really where you want to be. You would think it's where you want to be, but not really.
I buy it on the draw. If a part of a strategy of I want to kind of kill their stuff and win with Lava Spikes. I think that plan's on the balance not very good. You can talk me into it more easily on the draw. On the play, though, I want to be full foot forward.
You just want to do your thing. You're a burn deck. Don't want to over sideboard and just kind of dilute your deck a little much, which I think I see players do with Path and Deflecting Paw maybe a little too much.
Yeah, and especially against a deck with so many discard spells, you got to make sure you can cast your stuff as much as possible in response to things. You need to make sure your top decks are good, and those 2 cards fail that test quite often.
Well, we'll have to see it. I mean, I'm already seeing a Jeremiah shuffle here. Hasn't even considered going back to the drawing board, so it looks like the paths are going to stay in.
And I get it. I understand, Tarmogoyf's really big. I can't kill it. And if they have a Goyf backed up by removal spells or discard spells, it's just going to kill me too fast. But, that's part of the range. That doesn't happen every single game. And I think in the more normal games, that path it's just not as efficient as drawing a Lava Spike.
Well, Game 3 will be underway here in just a moment, but first, a quick couple of messages from our sponsors. Getting ready for game number 3 between Jadine Klomparens playing Jund and Jeremiah Haywood playing Burn. They're ready for game 3. We are 2 here in the booth, so we hope you are at home, as it'll be a Mountain and a Monastery Swiftspear here for Haywood. Let's get these beatdowns started. As we'll head back over to Klomparens, who is drawn and sort of revealed a Tarmogoyf.
Turn 1 discard spell into turn 2 Tarmogoyf, one of the better openings you can have against Burn.
Well, there's your Blackleaf Cliffs. There's your discard spell. It's Inquisition of Kozilek. Let's get a look here. Skullcrack ×2. Wooded Foothills. Lightning Bolt. Wooded Foothills. What are we taking here, Patrick?
I'm guessing probably a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
Just try to jam up. Just try to make his hand play out as inefficiently as possible with the Swiftspear. The bad case scenario here, if you take Skullcrack, is Haywood draws another 1-mana burn spell to play this turn, or another 1-mana creature, and you just open yourself up to an extra point or 2 you could have avoided because of the prowess triggers. So just take the 1-mana spell.
Wooded Foothills will be sacrificed here by Haywood.
The more that you can jam up the burn player's hand with 2-mana cards, the more likely it is that your random turn 4 Inquisition still gets to hit something. The more you let them just play out everything, the less of a window you have to have your discard spells line up the right way. So if it's at all close, just take the cheapest thing.
Sacred Foundry, the land that's been found here for Jeremiah as he falls down to 17. Maybe just a main phase Skullcrack here, plus an attack. Yeah. And that'll be a total of 5.
And you can see that Haywood drew a bolt. So this turn, if Klomparens had taken the Skullcrack, he could have gone bolt, and got an extra prowess trigger for his trouble. And these games are often played on the margin. I mean, it's really close.
There's a Raging Ravine. There's a Bloodstained Mire. Giving away a little bit of information there that was drawn.
Right, because Klomparens saw the foothills.
There's a Lightning Bolt.
Remember, Klomparens still knows about the Skullcrack here.
So Jadine's going to fall down to 9. Draw a card.
Haywood holding back the Skullcrack. 1, out of respect for a life gain spell like Kitchen Finks here, potentially. 2nd, if he passes like this, then Klomparens cannot use Kolaghan's Command to kill the Swiftspear.
Oh, Tarmogoyf instead. It'll be just a 3/4 as we head back over to Jeremiah Haywood.
No creature yet, so just land, sorcery, and instant.
Jeremiah going to leave the fetch out there. Leads me to believe there might be some Searing Blood Searing Blaze still in the deck.
Also, you know, the Jund deck can turn and start attacking you really fast inside of these games, and sometimes a point of damage is actually a full turn. So, you know, you got to respect the Jund beatdowns a little bit here, and not just fetch and play dual lands untapped like it doesn't matter. Because if you give yourself an extra point, sometimes it's one more draw step. And you can see Klomparens at 9, Haywood with Skullcrack in hand. 1 draw step could easily determine this game.
Bloodbraid Elf's going to do a little bit of cascading. Here is a Lightning Bolt. Wonder where this is going to go. It's going to go after Monastery Swiftspear. That'll take care of that. Bloodbraid Elf will go to the bottom of the deck. Now the Bloodbraid Elf that was cast will enter the battlefield. 3/4 Tarmogoyf, 3/2 Bloodbraid Elf. Let's make it a 4/5, in fact, now that there is a creature in the graveyard. And I think both attacking is probably pretty smart. Haywood going to fall down to 10. And you can see just how quick Jund can turn the corner.
Right. And that's why you can't just be cracking your fetch lands for no reason.
There is a fetch land, Wooded Foothills. Spike ya. Skullcrack in hand.
But Klomparens here with a land can turn on the Ravine and get to lethal.
The question is, does she have the land? It looks like the answer is yes. Do we go for it? Looks like the answer to that question will be yes. This will be a lethal attack, folks, with that Raging Ravine counter. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. And Jeremiah Haywood, I believe, with just a Skullcrack in hand. That is going to do it. Jadine Klomparens will win this game and match here over Jeremiah Haywood. 2-1. Jund will take care of Burn. And even though it was a slow start for Jund, it was good enough.
Yep, I mean, Klomparens' hand was a little bit on the slow side. Haywood was, maybe one land too many there.